Go, Kevin.
He's Houston. He is Houston.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 18th. You're at the Stanislaus Council of Government meeting. And it's 6 o'clock. Did I say that already? All right. Shannon, will you go ahead and do the roll call? Sorry.
Member Chiesa,
Here.
Member Graywall, Chair Condit,
Here.
Chance Condit,
Present.
Member Withrow, Member Lopez,
Here.
Vice Chair Carr,
Here.
Member Swallen,
Here.
Member Escutia Brayton,
Here.
Member Wright,
Here.
Member Graham, Member Gilbert, Alternate Member Roku,
Here.
Member Hernandez,
Here.
Member Phillips,
Here.
Member Gokin.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Shannon. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving along in the agenda, it's time for public comment. Members of the public may address the policy board on any item not on the agenda. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. I have one card. Milt?
Good evening, Chair, Board, staff, community members, Milt Treeweiler. It's time for reflection. Honest politicians and honest public employees have a firm commitment to integrity, placing the public welfare over personal gain with consistent and transparent communications. They hold themselves accountable for mistakes, demonstrate empathy, and possess the courage to support the good decisions over bad ones. They develop trust through ethical and evidence-based action. Here are some key qualities they include. First, integrity and moral courage. They maintain a deeply held belief of right and wrong and act ethically even when no one else is watching, often defending unpopular positions that are morally right. Transparency and accountability. They're open about their actions, decisions, and motivations, and they take full responsibility for mistakes rather than blaming others. Selfless service. They're not driven by power for its own sake, but rather see their position as a duty to better their community and constituents. Authenticity. They mean what they say, and they act consistently in both public and private lives, avoiding the unpredictable, insincere, and prejudiced behavior so often associated with many politicians. Active listening and empathetic. They are compassionate, seeking to understand the needs of the people they represent, particularly the vulnerable who are willing to change their minds based on new, accurate information. Consistency. They maintain their core principles and promises rather than constantly changing their opinions to gain votes or attention or favors. Politicians also demonstrate intellectual curiosity and competence, surrounding themselves with knowledgeable, truthful people rather than flunkies and yes men. To all of us, this is something we really have to be concerned about. We know what happened at StanCog. We know this was terrible. It should have never happened. If you can't be a good politician, if you can't be honest, trustworthy, and ethical, you should not be serving the public. I don't care what your position is, whether you're a staff member or an elected official. This is not going to work. We will become a Russia, or we will become a dictatorship if we don't start being ethical, honest, and trustworthy. I see it all the time. I see it all over. I You know, I know that's the way the world is. I understand that. I mean, I've been to college and all that stuff. But at the same time, somehow we've got to stop this silliness and we've got to be serious about what we're doing. I have a saying I say about myself, and I stand by this. You can't buy me for $1,000. You can't buy me for $100,000. You can't buy me for $1 million. You can't buy me for $5 million. You can't buy me. But there are too many people that can be bought one way or another. We've got to be honest, trustworthy, and ethical. Thank you.
Thank you, Milt. Thank you for being here. Any others that would like to make public comment on items not on the agenda? Carolyn?
Hello, my name is Carolyn Newman. I'm a Modesto resident, a member of the 24-25 Civil Grand Jury, a member of the Modesto Transit Sales Tax Commission, and a board member for the Stanislaus County Taxpayer Association. I'm going to say this now because information items has the minutes from previous meetings. There's not really a time to comment on that, so I'm doing it here. Regarding information item 8E, which is the Management Finance Committee meetings, these minutes are inaccurate. They lack the comments made by members of the public and any specificity in those comments. The video with the full content of these remarks is available on the StanCog website, and I strongly suggest that all of you go watch that meeting in full. From that meeting, item 5C, Karen Dunger, former finance manager for StanCog, gave commentary regarding the line item budget presented as an attachment to the staff report. The OWP Amendment 2 draft was not part of the packet and couldn't be downloaded prior to the meeting in timely fashion. However, even while it was being presented, Dunger did make comment and provided apt criticism on the items that in that presentation. The members of the Management Finance Committee seemed to agree with and were amenable to Dunger's suggestions. The chair, Joe Lopez, requested interim director to seek Dunger's assistance. Item 5D and 5E omits my comments and concerns regarding the employee handbook and the accounting policies, which are covering later, so I'll reiterate my comments for those later on when they're applicable. Part of restoring the trust and respect for StanCog has to come by way of integrity, visibility, and sincerity within these proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Any other like to make public comment on items not on the agenda? Anything online? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and move to presentation. With us today, we have the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, Chris Orlando, CEO.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here this evening. For those of you that I haven't met, I am Chris Orlando, the CEO of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. I just started in the role in January, so I'm brand new. So if I haven't met you yet, I apologize. Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet soon. But what I wanted to do this evening is walk you through an update on our Valley Rail program. For those of you that might not be familiar with Valley Rail, it's an effort to extend about 120 service miles of the two rail programs operating within the Central Valley. It covers 4 counties and would add service into Sacramento and Stanislaus County once completed. The goal really is to enhance the ACE and Gold Runner rail services. So for those that might not be familiar, the ACE is a commuter service that currently runs between Stockton and San Jose. And the Gold Runner is what's known as an intercity or Amtrak service, which runs from Oakland down to Bakersfield and also from Sacramento down to Bakersfield. So those are the current operations. And the goal of the Valley Rail program is to expand the service areas for those 2 programs and to add as many as 16 new stations and more service. This program aligns with the state rail plan as well as with goals around air quality improvements and zero emission operations. It also is designed to be an enablement to the eventual implementation of high-speed rail. So there we go. The Valley Rail program is a joint effort between the Rail Commission and the San Joaquin's Joint Power Authority. So the San Joaquin's Regional Rail Commission operates the rail service, and then the San Joaquin's Joint Power Authority operates the Gold Runner intercity rail service. So it's a joint effort between the two. And as you probably know, both those services operate on what we call host railroads. So on the Union Pacific Railroad and on the BNSF. They are the owners of the infrastructure, and we operate through agreements on those lines. The funding for the program comes from a lot of different sources, but the two primary sources are a 2018 state grant award, a program called TIRCP, and then in legislation that was passed in 2017, SB 132, which provided a significant amount of funding for the program, particularly here in Stanislaus County and the southern part of the corridor. In order to implement the program, the two boards set up a joint committee. So the idea here was the complexity of the program, and because it impacted both entities and both services, a joint committee was formed. There are two members from each of the boards on that subcommittee. The committee meets monthly, and it reviews progress towards the program and program updates. So it's been meeting, and staff has been presenting to this joint committee of both boards. We have broad representation on the committee. As you see from the slide, the Joint Powers Authority has members from 10 counties, and the Rail Commission from 2-member counties. So broad representation there. The 4-member Stations Committee is made up of a subgroup of both those groups. This is just a summary of the progress that's been made to date on the program. So we have procured and put into service 20 new bi-level trains on the ACE service. So what that means is we now have the rolling stock capacity to operate service. Those new bi-level trains are being put into service and used currently. This year, you will see some beginning construction on 2 Gold Runner stations. So we will be starting construction on a new Oakley station in 2026, and then starting the relocation of the Madera station here in 2027. And then also in 2026, we'll be doing some track work in an area called Lake Escalon. So that's work that's already underway, and you'll be seeing that construction starting here this year and next. What we wanted to talk about today was where we are with the program and provide a program update. The program has faced a variety of challenges since it started. We've had longer than expected approval processes, the costs, the requirements from our host railroads, getting the design approvals through our host railroads, overall funding availability have all presented challenges for the program. And as you know, the longer a program doesn't get built, the more expensive it gets. And we really came to a crossroads over the last 18 months with the program in terms of how we could implement a program that included 40+ projects and a really ambitious effort to add these new rail services. So starting back about 18 months ago, we started the conversation with the subcommittee around how should we address these challenges. The subcommittee provided a lot of input about different ways to approach it. One of which in last October was to go back to see if we could work with our host railroad, Union Pacific, to see if we could value engineer or reduce the requirements of infrastructure that they were asking us to make on the corridor. Those discussions didn't yield significant enough results to change where we were headed. And so in January, a presentation was made to the committee to look at how we phase and how we evaluate the program with the goal of how do we get these projects from design into construction and really start groundbreaking. And so what was presented to the committee at that time in January was an evaluation of the 2 options of focusing project delivery efforts on the northern segment and project delivery on the southern segment. So looking at which segment would be the most appropriate area to focus first in terms of project delivery. There were a lot of considerations that we went through with the committee, such as return on investment. So where would we get the biggest bang for our buck in terms of the projects, readiness for construction. So which projects were farthest along and could we most readily execute? Overall utility, meaning where would we get the most capacity, the most ridership, all the things that we look for when we do a projects like this. And then funder support. We have quite a bit of state money on this project. In fact, almost all at this juncture, state money on these projects. And so we really wanted to make sure we aligned with what the state's objectives were. Based on that input, we received direction from the committee in January, and then the Rail Commission affirmed that direction last month to focus initial project delivery efforts on Valley Rail North, so the projects that are in the northern segment of the project area, and then focus the funding strategy on the projects in Valley Rail South. And the goal here was really to move a defined group of projects from design and into construction, and show progress or shovels in the ground, ribbon cuttings, all the great things we like to see with projects, move a defined group of projects towards that quicker. And then that would allow us, one, to show results with the program, but two, focus our fundraising efforts and our grant efforts on the remaining projects. And so that's the process we've been going through. Really, as we've talked about this internally at the Rail Commission, this is about, yes, about those construction projects, and yes, about the ribbon cuttings, but really, how do we get to those first trains operating the soonest we possibly can? And so we're very focused on what group of projects can we deliver in a reasonable amount of time that'll get us to those first trains. And that's what we've been putting the effort towards. And those efforts, based on the direction that we received from the committee in January and from the Rail Commission last month, was to focus the initial delivery on the north and then focus the fundraising efforts on the south. So this is a little bit of what that will look like in the next 3 years. As you'll see, most of these projects are in the north. We have the Lathrop Y. It's a box. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a big cement box that provides us with some drainage and some other capacity. I mentioned the Oakley Station, Stockton Y. These are projects that will be started. The triangles there mean they'll start. The checkbox means we'll finish those. And so this is the activity that will occur over the next 3 years. We're currently building this timeline out, so you'll see the activity over the next 5 years and what that'll yield. Again, because of the direction, these projects, as you see, are primarily focused in the north. For our projects in the south, there we go. What we'll be continuing to do is continuing to design works. Our intent is to, where we've started design, to continue that design work. That means primarily the Modesto station and the Ceres station. We want to prepare those and prioritize those for future grant funding opportunities. And the best way to do that is have a completed design project. And that's what we're working towards. And then the service planning. So part of what we want to do is make sure that not only are we planning the projects well, but the service that we'll be using those projects for is also planned well, so we can maximize the infrastructure we have. What that'll mean in the southern section in Stanislaus is the 8th round trip of the Gold Runner train would be the first thing that we would start to see. And that services Modesto's current station. Concurrently, we'll be concentrating, as I said, our grant funding efforts on the south. These are just a few of the grant programs that were part of our grant strategy for the southern projects that we'll be focusing on to fill out the funding that's needed to complete the projects on the south. And with that, I will take any questions.
Any questions?
I'm going to comment more than ask a question. So there's, I think, about $112 million that can only be spent on the south component that came out of the original Canela bill. So that's what's going to not stop any planning that's on a go-forward basis. There's some fungible money that was on the committee, the 2+2 committee, and it comes down, and you articulate it really well, Chris. But when you look at the numbers, the sheer numbers of new riders going north versus coming to the south, that's what attracts money from the state of California. And the partnership is the state rail plan. So it turns out as tough as it was for me to vote that way, that was the preponderance of the evidence that led us to spend the money. The Sacramento subdivision line, at which the line's going to be built between Stockton and Sacramento, is lightly used. It's used, but it's lightly used. You think of BNSF over here where Amtrak runs, that is full. And so we have 7 slots on it. When you want an 8th slot, you want to run an 8th train, it's a slot. And you go to the host railroad, you ask them, and they tell you, we need a mile of sidetrack here. I think that's what the Escalon Lake
Mhm.
component is as we start preparing. But they can make you do it in 3 places, and it's on their schedule. It's them asking for what they want, and so, you know, again, it makes it very difficult. We go through these machinations, and there's a lot of pressure on Chris because we say, no, we can't do that. We got to get something, got to get a better deal. And they pretty much can tell us to pound sand. They don't always do that, again, but the Sacramento, because of the subdivision, not the Fresno subdivision, which is what Amtrak runs on to Sacramento. So there's a chance to get slots for fewer improvements. That's where the cost structure is. It becomes more doable more quickly. So tough situation. Again, I always ask for grace sometimes. This was not that difficult of a choice as much as I thought it was going to be, because when your funders want you to go a certain way and the ridership wants you to go a certain way, you can't fight it. But we promise, and as long as I'm there, we'll continue to fight to make sure we get, as we're going for more grant money, that we'll, and I know we'll compete all right, but we'll sit and fight, make sure it gets down to series, Modesto and series.
Rosa?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chris, for your presentation, and welcome to your new position.
Thank you.
As you and Supervisor Keza have already articulated the need to move forward with focusing on shovel-ready projects that are afforded by the Valley Rail North projects versus the Valley Rail South projects, makes business sense. And as was said by Supervisor Keza, it's more appealing to attract revenue when you have successes behind your belt, and that will be provided and more visible with focusing, at least initially, with Valley Rail's North project. So I support that initiative to focus on that, and then focus further down the road on the design of Valley Rail South, and eventually making that a top priority and building that out. But in the interim, what do I tell constituents when they were promised ACE to come to Modesto in 2025 and 2026, and now we're doing, no pun intended, but taking a different track and extending that implementation down the road? What do we tell them?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that and understand this is a change, and a lot of plans and dates have been put out over the years. And one of the things that we are working hard to do is to add some certainty to the projects in front of us. And so this is a big part of this transition, and this focus is to have a clear line of sight of delivery of the projects that we're committing to a timeline to, so that we don't get in a situation where there's a date that we talk about publicly and we don't have a clear path to that delivery. I think if your constituents, what you tell your constituents is that this doesn't mean we're giving up on that effort. Trains will come to Stanislaus and ACE will come. We're just having to focus right now the effort on fundraising. And so it's not a walk away from the vision in any way, shape, or form. It's just a way that we can demonstrate that the vision is real by getting service, started as soon as we can, and that'll help us deliver the whole project, the whole program of projects. If you think about it, effort spread over 40 projects, a little bit of effort spread over 40 projects, you can imagine how the difficulty in getting them all over the line is. And so the effort here really is to get the first basket of projects over the line so we can demonstrate success, which will make the rest of the program more viable. I know that's not easy, but also it is the best path to get the program done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Mayor.
One question. When did it become obvious that it was not going to be coming to Modesto and Siri?
Um,
Day?
I actually don't know the answer to that. Again, I joined in January, so I'm new to the conversation. I can tell you that the committee and the staff have been working against these challenges for a while.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the policy board? All right.
I want to add one more. There's one component that has become extremely expensive, and that's the center platform load
Okay.
that there was no expectation in the beginning. We don't center load over at the two Amtrak stops in Stanislaus County. The new rule from the host railroad is that we load, so you have double tracking, and that means an up and over escalators. And if we could just let people walk right across the tracks and go to a center platform, and like people cross every single day the tracks, walking pedestrians, that would be pretty amazing, because when you go under or over either one of those, and you have the Kinder Morgan gas line here through Modesto, you've got fiber optics cables, you've got things. Some of these have to go under the tracks, some of the stops. And you talk about cost prohibitive. That is one issue that makes the size of everything, the infrastructure so large to make steps up, steps across. And so we're trying, we continue to try, and that would be something that would bring this along a lot faster, because the cost of construction index, we see it at $96 million bridge across that cost $1 million back in 1917. And so the cost of doing the construction keeps going up the longer we wait, and we continue to get more money. We're up to $1.6 billion, and this was expected to be $400 million to get it to series originally. That truly was the number. We got to build a bridge across the Stanislaus River. We got to double track it all the way down here. And then we got to figure out how to redo a pipeline and some other things in downtown Modesto. So it's, and these are just like some of the problems. I'm telling you, I've been listening to this stuff, and it is difficult work that seems real easy. Center platform, let people walk across all of these stops, and we would save literally hundreds of millions of dollars.
Thank you, Vito. Chris, thank you for being here tonight, spending time with us. Thank you for yesterday with meeting with me and George and Rosa. We appreciate that.
Of course, thank you.
Time you spent.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Moving on to the consent calendar. Does any policy board member like to pull any item?
Yeah, I would like several pulled. D, G, H, I, and J.
D, G, H, I, and J.
I would like to pull L as well. Take them on
E,
so they can discuss them.
And L.
Did somebody say E?
No, one E.
One E.
Okay, and I know the public, I have one request for 6D, which is already on the list. Any others that would like to make comment on consent calendar? Kevin, you got your hand up. Come on up.
Wanted to make a comment on the presentation that was just made.
We're already past that. I'm sorry. You can go back. All right. I got the list. Kevin, come on up, make comment.
So I have several questions about this. First of all, I just heard the mayor say that we're not going to have Amtrak and ACE in Modesto. Is that correct? Did I hear her correctly?
No, it's going to be an extended period of time before it comes.
no,
Okay, because I heard the gentleman who made the presentation, I heard him say that we are going to have it in Modesto, but first we're going to concentrate on fundraising. Is that correct? So it's good. It's on down the line. It's in the future sometime.
Yes.
How far? Okay, how far into the future are we talking about? What kind of a timeline?
Kevin, ask all your questions and then we'll have
Okay.
Chris come up.
Okay, so that's one of the questions that I have is about the timeline. The other is that the station that was shown in the picture for the Modesto station, was that a rendering or is that just an artist portrayal of a station? Because if it's a rendering, that is not at all the station that we have now in Modesto that was $5 million was spent renovating that station. So if that was a rendering, my concern would be why did we spend $5 million on that station if we're not even going to use that station? And thirdly, there was a lot of talk about stations, like the station in Escalon and the station in Ceres and all these other stations, but I didn't hear anything being said about when the trains are going to start, when the actual service is going to start. So I got the impression that that's a whole new phase, a whole different phase, and we're not even there yet. So we have no idea when the trains will start. Right now, we're on phase one, which is building the stations, and that's going to take a long time, apparently. And so in terms of when the trains are going to start, who knows? I want to know if I'm inferring everything correctly, and I apologize for misunderstanding what the mayor said. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Chris, you want to come up and just hit on those?
Yeah, I think the timing will be dependent on the funding. So when we secure funding, we'll be able to nail down the exact timing. The pictures in the presentation, just artist renderings, nothing, just conceptual, nothing there. That's other than artist renderings. And then in terms of service, again, I can't give you a date on the service in the southern part. We are right now actively working on the start of service for the northern part. And so that's our work that we're doing now. And our goal is to have a projection for that here soon, where we could say, when we finish this group of projects, that'll start the first train. And we are, one of the things that in this phase that we are doing is again, not our finish line isn't a station being built. Our finish line is the train starting. So we are very much focused on that. And that's part of our delivery strategy for the projects that we're moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. All right. We're going to move on back to the consent. And what I have is to be pulled is D, E, G, H, I, J, and L. Everybody confirmed with that?
You said D, right?
I did say D. Okay, so then I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for A, B, C, F, K, and M.
So move.
I have a first.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. All right, moving on to D. Motion to adopt resolution 25-48, authorizing the chair of the policy board to execute amendment 1 to the K8M consultant client agreement.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Policy Board. I can do the staff presentation on this item. Noemi, can you pull up the slide, please? So this item before you is an extension or an amendment to the agreement that StanCog currently has with Kate M Consultancy. Kate Miller has been serving as the interim executive director since November 1st of 2025, and her services have been provided through this limited liability company, Kate M Consultancy.
Monica, can you please speak closer to the microphone?
Yes, thank you. During Ms. Miller's tenure as interim executive director, she has identified several areas where continued augmented staff support is needed. The item before you would amend her agreement to reflect that Ms. Miller would no longer be serving as the interim executive director, but would be providing these additional services. She would shift from leadership duties to a more targeted support role. It's anticipated that Ms. Miller would provide approximately 20 hours per week, with a primarily remote work schedule and in-office presence as needed. Tasks and hours worked would be determined in consultation with the new permanent executive director. Ms. Miller's services would be provided at the rate of $325 per hour. Based on an evaluation of agency workload and current staff resources, It is anticipated Ms. Miller will work the hours set forth on the table in the screen, and you can see a proposed budget for April, May, June, and July. There are reduced hours for April as Ms. Miller is going to be on vacation. It identifies the projected hours rate, the consulting fees, travel if needed. The travel reimbursement, if any, would include mileage plus hotel costs, generally expected not to exceed $300 per week. The proposed term of the contract is April 1st through July 31st, 2026, with a not to exceed amount of $105,000. The policy board is being asked to adopt a resolution approving this amendment to her agreement. And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Monica. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I had several. So how much money have we paid A8M Consulting so far to date?
So I started working in the beginning of November, and it's probably around $20,000 to $30,000 a month, around there.
So 5 months, so anywhere from 100 to 150,000. So I mean, I would like that in there. I also would have liked this scene to gone through the Management and Finance Committee, but I noticed that didn't happen, even though we've asked numerous times for these things to be done. My other concerns are, I think the rate's too high, and then much of this work could be done by our staff instead of a $325 an hour consultant.
Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, the question that I had, I asked you before when I got the agenda, and I just wanted to reiterate the question with the response was that this is only happening if our new executive director chooses to do this, to execute this contract and to use the services.
That's correct. She will be the person who directs the work that I do. Yeah.
All right, so it will be the new executive director making that decision, correct? Thank you.
Thank you. And then my understanding is if the director only needs to use you for 5 hours the month of April, we're only going to pay for 5 hours. And the maximum is going to be 50 hours for April, 80 for May. That would be the maximum, but it's up to the new executive director to determine if she needs you or not need you. This is a top end. There again, it's basically the time that you use, correct?
Correct. Any other question?
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment. I think that, I do appreciate all the work that you have done. And being that we do have a new director, I think this item should either be tabled or reconsidered. I don't think that we should be paying for you. And in addition to the new director, I think she should be making the decisions when it comes to these kind of situations. And if we table the item, the new director could give us direction on whether she wants the services or not.
Just one comment, and this is definitely not in defense of this, and I understand exactly the positions you're in, that we don't have a finance director right now, and we also don't have a planning director right now. And so some of those things, until those people are on board permanently, there needs to be additional support and resources focused at that. And one critical element is the upcoming budget process, which I've been primarily working on, and also completing the financial and accounting policies. Those also need to be updated. So, I mean, it's work that, another consultant would probably end up doing, at least the financial policy. So just throwing that out there.
Any other question?
Just a quick comment. I think there's some subjective things going on here. One thing that we've all agreed on is the rebuilding of the culture within StanCog, and I think Kate has been doing that well. I would feel comfortable moving ahead with this so long as it is under the discretion of the new executive director to have that support, because one thing that I've seen now being a part of the different ad hoc committees that have been coming up, maybe one of the only ones volunteering for it, is the support that Kate's been bringing forward.
for staff, so that, once she moves on, our staff is able to be really capable in the positions that they're in, and many are promoting at this point. So there's right now we're in process of looking for that new finance director as well, and so I mean all of these things are moving. So I'd feel comfortable moving forward with this, so long as it's under the discretion of the new executive director.
And I think that's been pretty clear, Monica, that it's under the discretion of the new executive director.
That's correct. The new executive director would direct the tasks that Kate would be working on. And the new executive director's contract is on tonight's agenda, and the anticipated start date is March 30th. The term of the agreement that's being proposed for Kate M. Consultancy is April 1st.
Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to open up public comments. Caroline?
All right. So first of all, I have strong concerns that this item was placed on the consent calendar. No other committee, not even the executive committee, got to see this contract prior to today, nor has the contract amendment been included in any agendas prior to this one, which means no one's reviewed it or voted on it. I'm saying that also in part so the people in the general public understand what's happening, because I think there's a lot of confusion with the order of operation on these things. Director Miller, putting this with all of the other contract extensions and amendments feels, I'm not saying it is, but it feels sneaky and insincere, and it feels like the tactics of that we are too familiar with from the past 5 years. I don't like it. Now I'll address the proposal itself. I disagree with the stipulations, but as we discussed, it is not mandatory 20 hours. It is up to 20 hours. So I'll let that be as it is. The proposal suggests actions that should have already been taken. I don't feel like the interim has done enough to discover or recover the transgressions of prior leadership. I know this because I have a working active document listing both all of the things discovered in the grand jury's report and things I have discovered since then. If any member of this board would like to see and know what I know, I'm happy to do it. Director Miller's contract proposes tasks that are either vague or are already duties of current staff. For example, it seems she assigned the salary survey to Shannon Silva, yet then she presented her own salary survey using Bay Area numbers to the Management and Finance Committee and Policy Board before Shannon had the ability to finish her own study using the Valley's numbers. The proposal also suggests that Director Miller intends to do tasks related to Measure L, which she assigned to Jose Luis Carceres, as stated in the Measure L Oversight Committee meeting, for which he is wholly capable of doing himself. More than anything, programming and planning need staff. Any workshops or concerning the amendment of the JPA or employee hiring are best done by the incoming executive director so that she can build the framework and the team that best serves her approach to addressing the culture needs of the Central Valley, not the Bay Area. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Any other like to make public comment? Kevin?
Just for my information, I would like to know for what kinds of things does this person consult? And what credentials does she have? Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, no. She has been our interim director since, what did we say, November? Former COG director. Plenty qualified. Okay, any other public comment? Anything online? Okay, I'll bring it back to the policy board for motion. You have further comment, Vito?
I just want to clarify that we did discuss this at exec committee.
It was discussed at exec.
Contract, and the concern was exactly what the mayor had just, I'm going to say Mayor Wallen because there's a bunch of mayors here. Mayor Wallen and we had asked about that you speak with the new executive director to make sure that she, A, thought she might be requiring some help, and that B, that this was only at the discretion of the new executive director. So that was discussed.
Yes. Okay, bring it back.
Just want to clarify, so it'll be at the discretion of the executive director, but will it still come back to us just to, and what if the executive director decided they wanted inevitable, I mean,
Oh, they would, the contract's through July.
so it's just through July, but still, so they'll be through July. Just under the discretion of the executive director, can do it for sure through July without any help from us, any direction from us.
To those thresholds.
When does the current contract end?
The current contract ends when the new permanent executive director begins, so it would be March 30th.
One more.
Go ahead, Sue.
Are you done? Which agenda item was it under exec?
Thought I saw it, but, Monica was on vacation and it was her item, so maybe that's the reason why it's going direct to.
Yeah, I have the exec agenda and I'm not finding it.
The handout.
It was a handout. I know we discussed it. Sure.
Would it be feasible to extend her current contract for a month until the new director comes in and is able to make a decision whether the extension is needed or not?
Well, I think her current contract states as interim director. So- Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I need a motion or a second, or a motion. Excuse me.
I'll make a motion to adopt. Move
I
forward.
have a first,
Second.
second. Go ahead and do a roll call. Kenner.
Member Chiesa.
Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit,
Nay.
Member Withrow. For the record, please, Member Withrow.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Carr,
Aye.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham.
No.
For the record, Member Graham.
No.
Thank you. Alternate Member Roku,
No.
Member Hernandez,
Aye.
Member Phillips,
Yes.
Member Gokin,
No.
9-5, Monica.
Motion fails. We need a 2/3 vote for any expenditure, which would require us to have 10 in favor.
All right, motion fails. Moving on to item E.
I just had a question about the cost being offset by the finance director's salary. Obviously, that position is opened, and once that position is filled, will we continue to need this agreement?
I don't think it's going to be filled by the end of June. So we just are listing it now. It's March. It's been very difficult to recruit that position. But I think that if we did get someone on board and they were ready to hit the ground running, then we would, could release the Brown Armstrong contract.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on this item? All right, open it up to public. Any comments on item E? Anything online? Okay. Bring it back for item E for a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a first,
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
9. 1 nay. 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 1
Okay, moving on to item G, motion to adopt resolution 2551, authorizing the interim executive director to execute professional service agreement with Agile Mile Incorporated for transportation demand management program services platform.
Excuse me, I have a question. On the last item, there was two people that were not here to vote. So did it? And so is that okay?
Full majority.
Um, we had 13 votes reported.
Okay, but just on this very last consent item,
Oh,
Councilmember Scudia Brayton and Councilmember Roque didn't vote. They just returned. So it's okay?
yeah, we still have a
Okay,
quorum
great.
with that,
Thank
yes.
you.
Okay. Who's going to do the update on this?
I can,
Jean?
yeah, I can take that one. That one is for Agile Mile. That is the platform on which our Stannis Cruise TDM, Transportation Demand Management Program, sits on. And so in order to keep that program up and running, which is a requirement, we're mandated to have a transportation demand management program here because we're in a non-attainment area. We need to have a platform for which to sit on. We did a full RFP for that, and Agile Mile was the successful bidder.
Go ahead.
So my issue with this item is not the provider, not the cost, anything. It's the fact that our current contract goes through December 31st of this year. Yeah, this is being brought to us now without going through the management and finance. I don't see why we're getting this in March when it isn't up till December, and there's plenty of time to go through the management and finance committee in case they have questions or comments on it.
You know, we don't typically bring contracts to management and finance. We bring them things associated with budget, associated with Measure L. And I think it's been an ongoing challenge for staff to figure out really what to bring to the management finance because the JPA bylaws don't really specify what the responsibilities are for each of our committees. So we have been focused very much on budget items. And we recently, at their request, brought them some policy updates, but typically bringing contracts to them has not been part of what we've done in the past.
And that's the problem. That's the issue I had with Rosa, and that's the issue I have now. A contract is absolutely a budget item because it's paid for out of the budget. I mean, I don't see why we're bypassing the management and finance for something that's not due till December.
Chance. Oh. Any other question? Any public comment on this agenda item? Anything online? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a first. I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. 3.
I have Gokin, Transcondit, and who was the third one?
That was me.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. That did pass, right? Yep, okay. Moving on to consent item H, motion to adopt resolution 25-52, authorizing the interim executive director to execute amendment 4 to the professional service agreement with the Commute with Enterprise attached resolution 25-20 or 52. Sorry about that.
So I'll take that item as well. The Commute with Enterprise, the reason that's on there is we want to increase our van pool presence in the valley. We provide a service that through the van pool program that cannot be provided by public transit. It's sort of a niche type market that we serve for generally manufacturing people that work at manufacturing agencies during off hours. We are trying to raise the number of van pools that are allowed in the program so that we can go ahead and serve as many people as we possibly can. And then we're also raising the subsidy for the program so that we're competitive with the van pool programs in the Bay Area. When we did this, we worked closely with our partners at Commute with Enterprise to make sure that we're not overextending ourselves. And so I feel comfortable with asking the board to raise this up to 200 vans per month and the subsidy up as well. I'd be happy to answer questions on that.
All right. So does the current agreement expire or is it just an ongoing agreement?
It's an ongoing agreement that will expire. I don't have the date of expiration in front of me, but it will expire. This is just to entice people to start using our vans. And we do actually, the more vans we have out there, we get money back through the National Transit Database. For this year, we got $1 million back in revenue on our 5307 funds, and that goes directly to Stan RTA, helps them with their costs that they have that funds that they are losing right now. So you get money back for the program. It's a win-win situation.
So on the second page of the thing, it says van pools program similar to Stannis Cruise model, serving commuters traveling to the Bay Area have adjusted their rates and now offer subsidies. As a result, commuters have the option to transit competing who are these competing programs?
The other competing programs are like the San Joaquin COG, SJ COG, MTC in the Bay Area. The van pool riders can pick which van pool program they want to go with, and so they're going to pick the one that has the highest subsidy. So if we offer like a $400 subsidy and next door they're providing a $600 subsidy, they will no longer use our subsidy. They can choose which one they want to use.
So, but all these subsidies are coming from taxpayer money, correct?
Yes, they come through our CMAQ funds.
So why would we compete with another county to offer a higher subsidy when theirs is 600 and we're asking for 700 to spend more taxpayer money for something they're already happy with at 600? Why would we do that?
Well, because we want to have the mileage here in this county so that we can get our National Transit Database NTD monies flowing into the county.
So as long as we get the money here, it doesn't matter if the taxpayers have to pay more if it doesn't go to San Joaquin, as long as our county gets the money. I don't really see how that's a good idea for the taxpayers.
Well, it is in that if we're giving Stan RTA $1 million, there, it can help to make a difference in their service. Each year it's expected to go up. 1.5 million is what we're expecting this year. As we expand the program, that could go up to 2 million. And those kind of things do definitely help Stan RTA when it comes to keeping their services intact.
Okay, well, I've already made my comments on taxpayer money, but as before, I think this should have went through the Management and Finance Committee.
Any other questions, Virginia?
Question, what are the services that are provided for the residents of our county through this?
So it's a van pool program where a group of riders get together and we give them a van insurance, that type of thing. And so we give them the subsidy of $700 a month. And oftentimes the employer will pay for the other half of the whatever it is for the van pool to operate. So they're getting a free trip. Yep. In essence, this is dependent on the employer, but it really helps for those that especially are working these off hours, these crazy hours like at nighttime, manufacturing, weekends, that kind of thing, where we don't have currently a Stan RTA does offer services to the Bay Area, but not 24/7. And these are the type of people that are using these services.
Okay, so it's an employer-employee work commute service.
Essentially, yes.
What was the investment last year compared to return?
I would say this is just off the top of my head, about $400,000 is what we netted out of that.
So if I'm understanding that right, the program cost us about 600,000.
Yeah.
We got $1 million in return.
Please speak closer to the microphone for the record.
Rough estimates is that we invested 600,000 and got $1 million back.
Yes, yes. And that will increase as the van pools increase, the what we get back. and it increases exponentially too.
Any other questions from the policy board? You can open it up, public comment. Any public comment on this agenda item? Anything online? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a first,
I'll second.
second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Two noes?
3 no.
4 noes.
Or roll, do a roll call vote on that.
We're growing.
Member Chiesa,
Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit,
Nay.
Member Withrow,
Aye.
Member Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Carr,
Aye.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Scotia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham,
Yes.
Alternate Member Roku,
No.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Phillips,
No.
Member Gokin.
No.
That's 4 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to consent item H, motion to adopt resolution 25-52. Oh, that's one we just did. Sorry. Aye. Motion to adopt resolution 25-53, authorizing the interim executive director to execute amendment 4 to the professional service agreement with Elite Transportation Group.
Yeah, Elite Transportation Group provides modeling for traffic, and we need them to complete the regional transportation plan and the sustainable communities strategy.
Questions for director?
My same objection as earlier. This should have went through the Management and Finance Committee.
Any other questions from the policy board? Any comments from the public? Anything online? I'll bring it back to policy board for motion.
Do you have a quick question? Is
Okay.
this bound by any timeline or deadline at this point? Can it wait a month?
It's in the contract, but I don't remember exactly what it is. You want me to look it up right now?
Because depending on that answer.
So we need ongoing traffic modeling.
Yeah.
And so it probably extended it for 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
so,
And
yeah.
we'll, at some point, we need to go out to bid for that, but we need that information both to add things to the tip, to do our regional transportation planning exercise. It's just an ongoing, you need to update the traffic model based on development. There's a lot of different things that goes on in that, and it's a shared contract, right? We're
This one
contributing.
isn't the shared contract, but this one
San
is
Joaquin.
essential in order for us to go forward with the R2P and get it adopted on
Right.
time. So it it's an important one.
So I agree with Mayor Gokin. If we could table this for a month and have it come through to management and finance.
Is it going to expire, Jean? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head if it's going to
In
expire.
the staff report, it looked like it expires June 30th, 2026 is, I think, what I read. That's what I have written
Yeah, then
down.
it can come back. I think one thing, and one of the things that staff and I talked about that we don't do here and that we need to start doing, especially absent of the information in the bylaws, is come up with a work plan for each of our committees so that we're identifying the things that they want to work on, identifying the things that staff want them, that we need them to work on with us. And so we can do that as well, because I would rather be working with them directly on what kinds of things. I don't think they want to necessarily, I think they want to get into the weeds on our budget stuff, and I completely respect that and support their, really happy with that contribution, but yeah.
So, yeah, I plan to bring that up as a request during member reports to have that discussion, whether it's chair and vice chair attending MFC, to have that discussion with them next time and bring that forward to the next meeting as well.
It would be helpful, though, if it was more defined in the JPA.
I would support, Kate, what you just said in terms of establishing bylaws for not just the management and finance, but for all committees, so that it's clear to them what the roles and responsibilities are and clear to us as well.
So that being said, I want to propose a motion to table this item and bring it back after discussion with MFC.
I think that's a fair compromise, and I appreciate the mayor's efforts on that. I'll second the motion.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Tabled. Moving on to consent item J, motion to adopt resolution 25-54, authorizing intern executive director to execute professional service agreement with Trinity Consultants.
So Buck, real quick, before we go, sorry if I
Yeah.
could. So we just tabled that, so, and we've directed staff to come back to us with an agenda item of some sort of an update on the bylaws, or where is this going to go? I just,
I think they want us to go through Management and Finance Committee without a contract. That was the direction I heard.
okay, but just for that one, but this is coming up on every single consent calendar item, so I just wonder,
I plan to bring forward maybe a discussion during member reports to have an item come back to the policy board so that we can establish those bylaws. So that'll be separate, because you're right, it's been recurring.
I guess my question is, we're going to get that done in a month with everything else going on?
Well, we can't amend the JPA. The bylaws are in the JPA. And that has to be ratified by every city, every jurisdiction. So, I mean, the one thing that we could do, and of course, we're getting now a third of the way or a quarter of the way through the year, is come up with work plans for our committees. And maybe what we do is we start with the Management Finance Committee.
and that would come back to the board then to decide on what that work plan is, or what the.
No, I think that would be something we would work with the Management and Finance Committee on, because then they're, so we ensure that we're capturing their interest and what they think their role is, right? And then what would come back to I mean, I don't know, do you want to approve the work plan? Typically, the work plan is just approved by a committee.
So I just want us not to do this every meeting.
Right.
On, so whatever it takes to help everybody, because there's a lot of concerns obviously here. So just a way for us to alleviate this from to continue to happen each meeting.
Right.
Whatever that looks like.
I mean, I think what we could do is maybe have a memo that basically says, this is the work plan that we worked with MFC on, that they've approved moving forward. And then I don't know if that's going to satisfy this body, if we happen to put something that they're not interested in on the consent calendar, because this is sort of new this month. So it kind of comes as a little surprise. But, understandable. I get it. So that we could do that.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate everybody's concerns. Everybody's got these, and I'm not talking down to anybody about that. I just think we need to resolve this and make sure that we satisfy the concerns of everybody here so we can move forward.
Yeah.
So what's the direction from the policy board on the rest of the items? Want to handle each one?
My only concern on J was the management finance, so I'm good with a vote on it. I think the point's taken.
And that one, we don't have a contract and we do need their help to help us with the RTP as well. So that one is, cannot wait. Trinity contract, yes. And it's very small.
Let's vote then. Because there's a motion and a second to table.
It's $25,000.
Okay. I have a first and a second on the motion to table. Go ahead. Am I off again?
We're on.
There wasn't any motion for this.
Okay.
There hasn't been a motion. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if there's any comments.
Would you
All right.
clarify what item we're currently discussing?
J. We're on J. Consent item J. Man,
I didn't,
We had a motion and a second to continue our table item J, which is the Elite Transportation Group, which is the transportation model.
That's I.
Sorry, that's I. Put my glasses on. I. And continue that item until April after it can be presented to the Management and Finance.
Right.
The side discussion was figuring out the role and responsibility of the committees, particularly the Management and Finance, so we can work on addressing so this type of conversation and pulling all the items on consent doesn't happen going forward. And so staff has made note of that. So then that means we would now be on item J, which is the Trinity Consultants Agreement.
that's what I was wondering.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is the one that has deadline that, a sensitive deadline. Okay.
I'm sorry, Rosa, go ahead. Did you?
I was just reiterating what I heard, and agenda item J is the one that has a pressing deadline, and I heard an urgency to take a vote on it and not table that one.
Could you give us a?
I don't think we've heard the staff report on item 6J.
Yeah, that one is.
Make a decision.
That
Well,
one.
hold on a second. There's a motion and a second for the table. So we need to handle that, right? No, it was just a motion that we never voted on the table part. It was a first and a second. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back on check. We're back on J.
We did not have a motion and a second on item J.
No, we're on J now.
Yeah, okay, just for clarification.
We're on J. Motion to adopt resolution 25-54, authorizing the interim executive director to execute a professional service agreement with Trinity Consultants. Jean, were you going to do the staff report on that?
Yeah, that's, again, specialized modeling. It's a very small contract. We just need her help for the modeling again for the RTP SCS, which is coming up here very shortly. We need to get it adopted. It's the biggest thing that we do.
Okay. Bring it back to the board for questions for Jean.
Gene, you're saying that, and you'll probably repeat for like the third time, this is time sensitive, right? As Scooter has mentioned.
Yes, this one is time sensitive and it's only $25,000. It's a very small contract, but she just provides this little niche type help that we need.
Thank you.
Any other question? Any public comment on consent item J? Anything online? Bring it back to the board for motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a first.
I'll second it.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. All right. So we need to handle these because they were pooled, right? Okay. Motion to adopt resolution 25-56, authorizing the interim executive director extend the professional service agreement with Covino, Smith, and Simon.
This contract expired in 2023, and we, like among the other contracts that we found that were expired, we are just trying to amend this now so that we can continue to pay it through the end of June. And then the board is going to need to decide whether or not they want to continue their federal and state advocacy contracts.
Any questions?
Yeah, for when you mentioned federal and state, are those coming back at the same time then? So this is just temporary, or what is the timeline? Because I pair the state and federal advocacy.
The timeline for when this expires at the end of June.
And then we'll revisit both.
So this is one of the items on the chopping block for the budget item that somebody will present next month. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's hard for me to see or make a decision on the federal without state at the same time. So I was trying to understand that timeline.
Oh, got it. So the state contract was approved by you either last month or the month before to extend it through the end of June.
They're both okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What's the expiration date on this one?
June 30.
They're both June 30. Yeah, okay. So I go back to yours. Your question was, why aren't we taking them together? Right?
Yeah,
I know,
different
contracts.
consultants.
Yeah. Yeah, but why aren't we taking both of them up on a yes or no vote?
No.
I'm sorry.
They're two separate contracts.
I know.
Completely, so
Well, only one of them's on and they both expire on the same day. So,
it's two separate. I would think you would do them separately.
oh, no, separate items. You're talking about separate items, but there's only one on here. Right? Is that what you were trying to say?
Yes.
Why are we
Yeah,
only
yeah.
taking one of them when they both expire on the same day? We don't have two items.
But I
Well-
understand we're lining them up now. Yeah, thank you. That was my only question.
I'm just-
No, thank you. for clearing that. All right, any other questions? Rosa, did you have something?
But just on this particular item, it expires June 30th, correct? Okay. But you had mentioned that it actually technically, you said there's something about we either extended it in 2023? Is that what you mentioned?
The current contract expired in 2023, and I think for those of you who have been participating regularly, you realize that there's a number of contracts that we have found as part of our new process and our new staff member overseeing it. And this was one of those contracts. I'm fingers crossed, I think this will be the last one that we come to you with, asking you to extend it. They have been providing the services and we have been paying them, but the contract expired.
And you had mentioned that this one's on the chopping block?
Federal and legislative advocacy is not reimbursable from any of our fund sources. And so that's something that we will ask the board to consider. The draft budget that is moving forward does not include either contract.
Okay, well,
I think since that's not on the agenda, that's not
It's not.
appropriate to discuss.
Yeah.
Sure. I just wanted to say that I think that, an advocacy like this is important. I know when I was as the chair of San Luis Council of Governments, I saw firsthand how important this is. And I think that we should not even take this in consideration to be removed from our budget, neither this or the state legislation. Thank you.
That's coming back next month, right?
Yes, somebody will be presenting it next month.
We'll have that discussion.
Any other questions? Any public comment on this agenda item? Anything online? I'll bring it back to the policy board for a motion.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Two no's?
Quick question, out of curiosity, going back while we're still on the consent calendar to H. Would we be able to modify this contract, proposed contract in this board meeting? The lower terms? Or is what's presented and we voted no on it is gone? What my thought is Kate's expertise is important. We need it for many different things. And as we get a new director in that they're going to need some assistance along the way. And there's still plenty of things to be done and corrected with this after we lost so many people because of the problems that were there. Could we bump it down to just covering April and May at this time and then being at the director's discretion after that to bring back to the board for further?
So for item 6D on the agenda specifically.
60, correct, yes.
6D,
Yeah,
so-
did I say H? I meant D.
So if the board would like to reconsider the item, we can consider, because it occurred at this meeting, we can reconsider a motion for reconsideration. We would need a motion, a second, and a passing majority vote. And then we could reopen that item and the board could take further action if they desired.
Absolutely. I think if that's a members bringing it up, we should discuss it even further. So if you want to do a motion of
Make a motion to discuss it further.
motion to reconsider.
Reconsider with some adjustments. Maybe talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Reconsider.
it. I think,
Member Wright?
Casey, you wanted discussion first, right?
We have to,
Two motions.
We have to open it back
Have
up.
to-
for-
Okay.
have
To
a discussion.
reconsider.
so we have a motion by Member Graham and a second by Member Wright to reconsider item 6D. We need a person.
Yes, we do. Go ahead, roll call, please.
Member Chiesa?
Aye.
For the record, Member Chiesa?
Aye.
Chair Condit?
Aye.
Chance Condit?
Nay.
Member Withrow? Member Lopez?
No.
Vice Chair Carr?
Aye.
Member Swallen?
Aye.
Member Escutia Brayton? Member Wright?
Aye.
Member Graham?
Aye.
Alternate Member Roku?
No.
Member Hernandez?
Yes.
Member Phillips?
Yes.
And Member Gokin?
No.
So we have 9 in favor, 4 against, 1 abstention. Abstentions go with the majority, so it's 10-4. The item passes. You can now reopen the item.
Right.
The abstention goes with the majority. That's the way our bylaws
Open
are
up
written.
consent item D, motion to adopt resolution 25-48, authorizing the chair of the policy board to execute amendment 1 with Kate M. Consultancy Consultant Client Agreement.
So again, I'll just reiterate my thoughts or my concerns is, we lost a lot of people, and Kate brings a lot of expertise to this position. And as we bring in somebody new, I'd hate to just throw them into the fire without any support per se, from somebody that understands where it's at currently. And so her consulting would be, important, and that's, I think the 4 months is kind of a little too long, as a shorter period of time. And if the director feels that she's doing good and doesn't need assistance anymore, then we could cancel. And I think that would be a term that needs to be in there, that at the discretion of the director, when she doesn't believe it needs to be anymore, any extensions would have to come through us.
Any other further discussion or comments?
So I agree. I think the goal with any position, especially a high-level position, is to successfully onboard them. And if that means, yeah, just a month or two, I think that would be really beneficial to our new person, her success coming in.
Rosa?
Nothing has really changed from what was discussed in the first round of this agenda item. It's always, and it remains, the discretion of the new executive director to keep her, potentially the interim director, on board for 1 month, 2 months, or the proposed 4 months. So it's always been up to the discretion of the new executive director to not utilize this recommendation at all, or to utilize the interim Kate for 1 month, or to utilize her services for 2 months, or to use them for 4 months. That remains the same. Always been up to the discretion, again, of the executive, of Amber, to use her 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months, or not at all. So.
Thank you, Rosa. Any other discussion or question?
Monica, is it appropriate to ask if we can have new director comment on this?
She just,
Well,
Oh, I mean,
her item is, her contract is still yet to
sorry,
be
my
considered.
apologies. So it's not appropriate till that is considered, okay?
Casey?
Can we hold it till after we look at our contract?
I like
Wait,
that.
can you say that again? We can't hear in the online.
I said, can we hold it until after we approve our contract?
That'd be a new motion.
I mean, honestly, what incoming director is not going to say, no, I don't want help from somebody who's already been here and helped me do my work. Of course, she's going to say that. No slight against her. I'm fully in favor of her contract, but I mean, what person coming into a new job wouldn't want the person who was doing it to, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I'm sure that's her opinion, even if, you don't have to ask her.
Maybe she wants to save a little bit of money. Maybe she'll say no.
Not going to put her in that position. Any other, go ahead, Dave.
So knowing if we had a full staff that was capable of, moving forward, and we are really shorthanded on our staff, I think it's important that we give our new executive director some options on bringing in, having a qualified person to help her. If not, she's going to get buried, or they're going to get buried. And that is really going to affect StanCog for not only the first couple of months, but several months down the road, because it just takes longer time to get caught up, not to speak. So I'm in favor of at least 2 months. And then if she feels like she's still buried or they're still buried and need more help, they can come back to the board and then let the board decide whether to continue on or whatever.
Any other discussion, questions? Open back up to the public. Carolyn?
I might be wrong on this. I'm reading the staff report and then I'm reading the resolution. The staff report says it's at the executive director's discretion, but the resolution doesn't say that. That would have to be amended.
It does.
Does it?
Yep.
If it does, that's great.
Okay, any other public comment? Anything online? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the policy board for motion.
Can I clarify something with council and the chair as well? A vote of yes means that we are approving retaining Kate for, at the discretion, for 2 months at the discretion of Amber. A vote of no means we're sticking to the original decision on D, which is, again, at the discretion of Amber. She has the option of utilizing Kate's services for 4 months. No, that got denied?
So at present, we have reopened the item for discussion, but we don't have a motion for consideration, a new motion for consideration on 60. So it would be dependent on what the motion is for this item, whatever the pleasure of the board is, now that they've revisited item 60. There's been discussion about limiting it to 2 months, but there's been no motion made to that effect.
Okay. So the only time period is 2 months right now on the table?
No, the motion hasn't been made. The motion
Oh,
hasn't been
You
made.
didn't
yet.
make that motion? Oh.
Any further discussion or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we or vote on this to consider it for 2 months with the director's discretion to cancel that at any time. Any adjustments to longer would have to be brought back to us. So just for April and May.
And would you like to put a budget amount associated with that, a number of hours at the rate, or just the duration and no limit on budget?
That, for me, the hours look appropriate.
You want to reread that motion?
Member Graham has made a motion to recommend approving an amendment to the Kate M consultancy agreement for an additional 2 months with a start date of April 1st, with the proposed terms or the hourly rate and the hotel reimbursement, travel, et cetera, for a 2-month duration at the discretion of the executive director. Any extension would need to be brought back to the policy board for consideration.
Correct. And just to clarify, the hours that I see, 50 and 80, obviously the 50 because she's going to be on vacation, but the 80, that's up to that many hours, not that's guaranteed. Correct.
Noted. Thank you.
So Kate, to clarify, when do you return from vacation?
I'll be here on April 15th if you approve this, and I don't know what the policy guidelines are for a volunteer person presenting your budget, but I would probably do that because I have to bring the computer back. I'd happy to do that.
So it was just suggested April and May, 2 months, but you won't be here for the first 2 weeks of April. So shouldn't there
That's
be
right.
some
So that one,
clarification?
yeah.
Would you say 2 months? Not specify a date?
At the end of May.
Please use your microphones.
The end of May.
April, May.
He's already here through March 30th. This moves it for April, May.
She's on vacation until,
I understand she's going to be on vacation.
Won't get
All
paid.
employees are on vacation. But currently, her current contract ends.
so you're suggesting a 45-day contract then from mid-April, whatever date that is, specific date till the end of May?
Yeah.
So 1.5 months.
Let's not overcomplicate it. April, May. It'll end at May unless we hear back from the executive director.
I don't feel like I'm overcomplicating it. I just I want it to be clear because the dates.
It's not 2 months. It's only a month and a half.
Well, it's clear because there's hours that are set. There's a maximum on hours for April and there's a maximum on hours for May. So it is clear if she's gone for 2 weeks, then there's no hours paid. When she comes back and if there's a lot of work and it's 50, I think it's 50 hours the first month. If she works 20 hours that month, she only gets paid for 20 hours, but up to 50 hours if the new executive director feels like they need the time. Correct? Correct. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor.
Second?
I have a second. Thank you, George. And do a roll call, please.
Member Chiesa,
Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit,
Nay.
Member Withrow.
Yes.
Member Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Carr,
Aye.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham,
Aye.
alternate member Roku,
No.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Phillips,
Yes.
and Member Gokin.
No.
That's 3 noes. Motion passes for reconsideration.
There are 4 noes, 10 yeses. Motion passes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, reconsideration, motion passes. All right, moving on in the agenda, we need to take a break, or I need to take a break for a quick second. Let's do a 5-minute break. started back again. We're back to the agenda item 7A, moving on to discussion items. Motion to adopt resolution 25-57, an amendment to the accounting policy.
Thank you. Kate Miller, Interim Executive Director. This requests the policy board adopt a resolution 2557 approving amendments to the accounting policies. These changes, while not comprehensive, will implement items outlined in the grand jury report. They include changes to employee travel reimbursements and procedures, which include following government services administration rates, except for certain circumstances, such as conference hotels, additional approval and documentation requirements. In addition, the updates include policies to guide credit card use that outline specific consequences if misused. The policy further defines prohibited purchases and strengthens reconciliation and documentation requirements. The executive committee recommended that the policy board adopt the resolution, but explicitly requested that the language be added that would prohibit issuing credit cards to policy board members. That has been added. And in addition to that, the Management and Finance Committee also recommended adding language that requires the policy board chair approve the executive director's travel request. That also was added. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kate?
Not really questions, but I have a couple concerns. One of them is section 18, home office allowance, where it says staff members, executive management team can get paid by Stancog, set up, it says desk, chair, filing cabinet, stuff like that, for them to work at home. I mean, if they're working from home, they get to sleep later, they get home earlier. They don't have to drive, they don't have to pay for gas, everything else. I mean, the county and Modesto, as far as I know, don't pay for home office and anything else. And I know sure as heck no Waterford doesn't. So one, I don't think that's necessary when they're getting all these other benefits from working from home, why we would pay for their home office.
I think there's a liability exposure if there's inappropriate equipment at home, and that's the reason why that has been implemented. It's not unusual. I know that the Napa, we did it in Napa as well, but I can defer to Monica about any of those details, but that was already in the policy before.
Well, the agreement that you're required to sign to be able to telework usually covers that the inappropriate things can't be done.
Thank you for the question. The home office and everything, because that is in essence their workplace, we're still subject to making sure we comply with any workers' comp type issues, right? So making sure that their setup is not set in a hazardous way. Part of the telework agreement does identify that they are agreeing to maintain it in, a safe manner, but then also making sure that they have the tools necessary for them to be able to do their job. It's primarily been monitors and laptops, if I understand correctly.
So you just said that we have a responsibility to make sure that they're set up safe. So how many home setups have been inspected then?
We asked them to identify as part of their telework agreement that they are agreeing to maintain it in the safe and compliant manner.
So we've not inspected any, but you just said we're responsible to make sure they're safe.
Well, that is a state statute that we don't have an ability to work around.
So all the other cities that allow telecommuting or the county are in violation then?
I don't think it's in violation of that, but that is in essence their workplace. So there is an obligation on our part when they are working from home, as well as there is an obligation on their part to maintain their work environment in a safe manner. And also as an employer to make sure that they have the tools necessary to complete their work function.
Well, I mean, and it's nothing against Amber or, whatever, when we get the assistant executive director or whatever, but I don't see where we're paying somebody $265,000 or $200,000 a year. We should also be paying for their furniture or stuff at their home office. I don't think that's.
I don't believe that is a subject to the changes in the policy. I would just add that I am working on updating the financial policies and accounting policies now. And so that could be something that you bring up when we bring the final larger policies back to you for consideration.
Well, I'd like it struck now, but anyway, my other issue is the working lunches or dinners and them being able to be paid for by Stancog, by staff. That was one of the issues with Rosa, her abusing that. I mean, most people don't get to decide where their meetings are and then get to decide that their employer pays for them. So I mean, there's plenty of time to have meetings. I don't see where that's appropriate, the good use of taxpayer money.
Any other questions for Kate? All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Caroline?
Hello. So, in the civil grand jury report, it says on page 67 that the original JPA amendment removed the county auditor controller from oversight of this organization. On page 99 of that same report, the jury recommended bringing the auditor controller back. The policy board's response letter to the jury rejected this suggestion. Now we have this accounting policy, which has the auditor controller and the treasurer in it, which is an artifact from back in 2018. So this is not the most current policy. I don't think this is necessarily the fault of current management, but I do think perhaps the last set of management bungled this and used a very old version when they updated the travel policies in 2024. But this is not the most recent or accurate policy. It doesn't mention the Abila system or other systems that I'm familiar with. I said some of this at the Management and Finance Committee meeting last week. I don't know if Director Miller either didn't believe me or didn't care about my reference that this is not the correct one, but no other changes were offered between then and now. Also, all these new documents need to be ADA compliant, and so starting now would be an excellent idea, especially since we're doing a full overhaul of everything as it is. And lastly, it would be good practice to review the policy board travel policy so that if you adopt this, making that one echo what this one says, so it's cohesive all the way across for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Any other public comment on this agenda item? Anything online? I'll bring it back to the board for additional comments, questions, and or motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a first.
Second.
I have a second. Roll call, please.
Member Chiesa,
Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit.
Aye.
Member Withrow,
Yes.
Member Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Carr.
Aye.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham.
Aye.
Alternate Member Roque,
No.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Phillips,
No.
and Member Gokin.
No.
The vote is 10-5. This is not an expenditure, so it does not require a 2/3 vote requirement, so the item does pass.
Motion passes. Moving on to item B, motion to appoint a policy board member to alternate to the California Van Pool Authority Board of Directors. I will start this off and say that when I took over this position, I started filling in for Mayor Lopez in this position, and that was before I was chair. And it's starting to get to the point where I'm getting a little bit overloaded. So I'd rather not be the main member, but I can still stay as the alternate. So just looking for somebody to plug into that spot.
Time requirement.
Yeah, it's once a month meeting. It's usually on Zoom. There is a get together maybe once or twice a year to go over policies and provide direction for that organization. So, and if not, if I don't get a member to take that spot over, I'll continue to do it. But that's okay. I'm just looking for a person to help out a little bit.
Come on, people, help them out.
Is it on the second Thursday of each month at 10? Is that correct?
I'm sorry,
the time at 10 a.m. Second Thursday?
Yes.
That, I'll go ahead and do it.
You want to take over that position? I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Erica. So the motion would be for Erica to be the primary member and move me to alternate.
Second.
First and a second.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I got to go to public. Sorry. Any
Before
public
you,
comment
before
on?
you do that, I know that you said that you have a lot on your plate. If you'd like me to be the alternate, I'll be the alternate.
You got a member here unless Erica wants to give that up, but.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh, alternate,
I'll be
absolutely.
the alternate, so that way you can.
Yeah.
See, I can tell because you're tired that that's the reason why. I
No,
don't do it.
absolutely. If you'd like to take over alternate, I would be happy to do that.
Do we need a motion on that too?
Make an amendment to my motion to make Mayor Javier Lopez the alternate member.
I'll second.
I have a second. Public comment. Public comment on this agenda. I'm sorry, I started getting excited, a little ahead of myself. I don't see any public, maybe anything online. Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. And we have the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nice. Thank you very much, very much. Okay, moving to C, motion to approve the positions outlined on the state bill matrix and receive the federal and state legislative update. Kate.
Thank you very much. For the interest of time, I'm going to dispense reviewing what's on the document already and go to the bill matrix. And I know that Gus Corey is online. This is a new process that we implemented so that you have a say on some of the things that we support in the public domain. And also Gus is just going to be reviewing the items that we're going to take a position on and not go over those that are watch positions. A lot of those are already spot bills and haven't been fully fleshed out. So with that, Gus, do you want to walk us through those items where there's a support or opposed position on?
Absolutely. So good evening, Mr. Chair, policy board members, members of the public. So just very briefly, before I jump into the matrix, just an overview of where we are. I was making rounds in the Capitol today, meeting with Secretary Omishakin, Assembly Transportation Committee Chair Lori Wilson, lots of conversation about the gas tax issue, some confusion over converting over to a vehicle miles travel tax and such. And so we're working with the Assembly member, happy to come back and do a deeper dive with the board to kind of walk you through some potential options. We really need the state to maintain their commitment so that we can leverage our Measure L dollars to keep delivering projects for the public. Secondly, just very briefly, the cap and trade auctions are down quite a bit. It was projected for this fiscal year to generate about $4.2 billion. That's now been revised to $3.7 billion, which means that for the transit programs, for capital and operations, we're down about 40%. And so we're hoping for the market to rebound, but there's a lot going on right now with the Air Board and their conversations with the oil refineries and some of the regulations that they're trying to work on here. So there's still some market uncertainty that's contributing to the decline of revenue. But we need those revenues very badly in order to maintain, if not expand, service within the county. So just want to touch on those two items. Regarding the bill matrix, we went over nearly 1,900 bills that were introduced by the February 20th deadline. We only have 20 on your list. And as Director Miller mentioned, some of those are just placeholders. We're watching the metamorphosis into something else. Some we won't even care about. And so what we tend to do is play a little bit of defense up front. So if there's something that might cause us heartburn, we want to get out in front of those. Support bills, we kind of, wait and see what happens with those. But just very briefly on a handful of bills, this is in the staff report too. It's on page 128 of the packet. So AB 1745, this bill would suspend the imposition of the gas tax, which would be catastrophic. The gas tax is our bread and butter for funding local streets and roads, safety projects on the state highway system, and allowing you to leverage your Measure L dollars to compete for grants and other things. So we're recommending an opposed position on that one. AB 1783, this is a bill that would prohibit a vehicle miles travel charge. It's somewhat premature. I think all options need to be considered on the table because it may or may not work for some jurisdictions if they want to do it locally. And so again, happy to come back before the board and do a deeper dive on the various options there, but we're recommending an oppose on that one. AB 2184. So given the shortfall for transit, what this bill does is it would dedicate $300 million of the greenhouse gas reduction funds, which come from cap and trade, to fund nature-based solutions. And it doesn't seem logical that the legislature has not maintained its commitment, fulfilled its commitment to funding the transit programs first. And now we're adding another obligation and we're taking even more money away. That'll make it harder, for us. And some of the earlier discussions about we have to plan with the Air Resources Board to approve the plans just to even compete for state funds. And if our plans aren't solid and we can't access the funding, then we just lose out on being able to compete for funding, like to complete State Route 132, anything on the 99, or even other projects for passenger rail and such. So we're recommending an oppose on that one. And then AB 2560. So the governor has had an executive order for a few years now trying to focus on mode shift. That's not always possible in our region. People have to commute to the Bay Area and other places for work. The jobs housing imbalance, within our region is a real thing for folks that are in agriculture, labor, etc. And so we want to make sure that we maintain our competitiveness and this isn't codified so that we can, again, continue work and deliver on things in our expenditure plan to fund 132.99, any other projects of significance within our expenditure plan. So an oppose on that one. And then last but not least, there's a 2-year bill. It's SB 667. This is one that ACE and the Gold Runner are opposing. It's putting additional requirements on putting additional safety equipment upon, and it's imposing it upon freight, so Union Pacific, BNSF, which we don't even know if that's even possible given the Commerce Clause, the Federal Commerce Clause. But even if that was permissible, they're going to pass that cost down to us, and we're already having a hard time delivering on, expanding rail service. So this would put it in position. It's an unfunded mandate, and so we're recommending an opposed position on that bill. So happy to answer any questions on anything that's on the matrix and or any comments that policy board members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Gus. Any questions for Gus? Open it up to public comment. Anything online? Okay,
I have some comments.
go ahead.
I didn't have any questions, but one of the bills here, AB 1608, which talks about the Office of the Inspector General being able to basically inspect and make reports on the high-speed rail and how our billions and billions and billions of tax dollars are used. And it says that it's opposed, which I think we should support. Talks about Oak River weaknesses exploited. I mean, why does the state not want us to know where these billions of dollars are going?
Yeah.
Also, AB 1745, where he wants to, suspend the motor tax for here. California charges the highest in the nation. I think that's a good thing. I support that. And then the local taxes. I mean, if you can just allow any city to impose a VMT, how's that going to work? I drive through San Francisco. How are they going to know how many miles I drive? I mean, are they going to put a LPR on your car when you come in and LPR when you leave and then charge you for the distance they believe you went between those? I mean, how would that even work? And then also the $10 billion of bonds for the SB 417, the amount of bonds this state currently has outstanding and the payments on them are just astronomical. The last thing we need is another $10 billion worth of bonds. The money's in the state budget. If they use it properly, they just don't.
Mr. Chair, did you want me to respond to?
Yes, if you would, Gus.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so fantastic questions. So on AB 1608, we had an oppose, and the reason being is that there was some language contained in there where when there's an audit done, that it did not have to be shared publicly, that it would have to be just redacted for the public, and then they would give it to the legislature. That is not providing oversight. The assembly members committed to amending the bill to revise that because that was not her intention. So that's why we originally had an opposed position. I wanted to show that, but until I saw the actual language in print, I just didn't want to jump out too far ahead, wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's the chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee, but it's for that exact reason. More oversight's better. especially given how much money's gone into the project. And the public definitely deserves to know. But so that's the reason. There's some language in there that was problematic that would actually dissuade Full Sunshine on any deficiencies with the project. So that's why we had the opposed recommendation. Again, on 1745, you guys can't tax enough in order to fund, and it's really Caltransit's responsibility, to be honest. They're the owner operator for the state highway system. You can't fund 132 on your own. You can't fund 99 on your own. You can't do passenger rail on your own. You need the state to be able to continue its efforts to maintain its commitment to provide funding for all of those things that the public depends on. So that's why there's an opposed on that one. 1783, it just seems a little bit premature, I think, until we do the math and see how people wind up. In some circumstances, people might actually save more than what they pay under the current gas tax structure. But we're having those conversations right now. And as I promised, I mean, if that's of interest to the board, I'm happy to come back and kind of walk you through those permutations. And then what was the other one? I'm so sorry. I think, does that cover it for the bills
What
that I
was the
missed
other
one?
$10 billion bond, which isn't really transportation related, however.
Is that Prop 4, the climate bond? Well, yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. You're correct. There's a lot of bonds that we're paying for going back to the 1990s with Prop 116. High-speed rail, there's quite a few. The governor has said that we have bonding capacity. They're not really looking at doing any more bonds, at least in the short term, because we have a general fund deficit. Although I heard today that there could be some good news, that there could be a windfall of capital gains that's come in that should be reflected in the May revise. But I don't think, I've talked to the treasurer about this, Treasurer Ma, and I don't think there's a real appetite to do any additional bonds. They just did Prop 4 in 2024, and that was, I think, the last one that we approved for the reasons that you mentioned. So yeah, that's the context on that one.
Thank you, Gus.
Of course.
Any other, Rosa?
So at this point, Gus's presentation is just informational. We don't have to agree or disagree with his proposals of opposition or approval until the May revise.
Actually, sorry, Member Escucha Broughton, the item is to approve the positions on the bill matrix.
It is. And under what deadline are we working on that?
Well,
Yeah, so
tonight would be when you would take that action,
Well,
and then
I'm wondering, because Gus offered to come back to the policy board and do a deeper dive so that we could understand really what it really means to support an opposition or support or continue with the support. If he were to come back and share with us that level of specificity on all these measures, would that fit with the timeline that we have on these bills?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, if I may, so a couple of things. We're pretty deliberate about making sure that bills that we bring forward, and if we're recommending a position, that it's consistent with your adopted state legislative platform. So there's a correlation. So we always look to protect state funding, look for any kind of, threats. And so like with 1745, that's pretty obvious there. That would again be catastrophic. 2184, where you're just making it more difficult for us to get the transit funding that we need to meet our air quality goals so that we can qualify to go after state funds. That one seemed to be pretty logical, to take a position on. But from a timing perspective, so the policy committees they're barely starting because bills have to be in print for 30 days. And so there's a lot of bills that were introduced up at the tail end on the 20th. And so you could choose to wait if you like. Like I said, typically I like to get out in front of these things so that I can make my rounds, talk to people on your behalf. But if you were to want to wait a month, sometimes the legislative process does not sync up with your process. So in a month, a bill might even get through one house, and now it's over on the Senate side where you have a chance to opine there. But with bills that you don't like, it's typically better sooner rather than later to take that action. But it's at your discretion, of course.
I am fine voting on this today because I know Gus's experience and he gets into the weeds of this. And as he just articulated, his recommended position is in line with our policies and our vision and our platform. But given some concerns and questions I heard, I thought that if the consensus of the policy board is to get more information about these, then we should discuss forwarding them that. But if the majority of people are comfortable in moving forward with leaning on Gus's experience and his recommendations, then I would be fine voting on it today.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a first to approve. I have a second. Roll call, please.
Member Chiesa,
I'm going to ask that you start going backwards now, voting backwards. Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit,
Aye.
Member Withrow,
Yes.
Member Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Carr,
Yes.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham,
Aye.
Member, alternate member Roque,
Yes.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Phillips,
Yes.
and Member Gokin.
No.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to D, motion to adopt resolution 25-58, authorizing the policy board chair to execute an employment contract with the executive director. And Monica.
Yes. So good evening, members of the policy board. I'll be presenting this item. So after an extensive search spanning approximately 6 months, the policy board has selected Amber Collins to serve as StanCog's new permanent executive director. Ms. Collins is in the audience. After many thoughtful discussions and deliberations, the policy board's offer of employment to Ms. Collins includes the following terms, which appear on the screen. If we could have the next slide, please. The term of the contract is 3 years with 2 optional 1-year extensions at the discretion of the policy board. The base salary is $265,000 annually. Merit increases are she's eligible for annually based on a policy board performance review and approval. Cost of living adjustments will be the same time and rate as other employees. StanCog will make a contribution of 2% of the executive director's base salary to the deferred compensation we participate in StanSara. For vacation, management employees within the organization receive 2 weeks of vacation for 0 to 2 years of employment. Ms. Collins will receive 2 weeks plus an additional week, so 3 weeks for her first year of service. She'll get sick leave in the amount of 96.2 hours, executive leave in 90 hours annually, same health, dental, vision, disability, life insurance, et cetera, as other employees within the organization. There's also an automobile allowance of $5,000 per year, mileage reimbursement at the IRS rate for travel beyond her daily commute. It is specifically identified that daily commute is not eligible for reimbursement. The agency will also pay any professional development dues that Ms. Collins may need or incur, and conference and travel reimbursement will be reimbursed consistent with the policy that the board just adopted. If Ms. Collins is terminated by the policy board without cause, there is a severance provision, which would include 6 months salary plus 6 months of medical, dental, and vision benefits. The policy board is being asked to adopt a resolution this evening authorizing the chair of the board to execute the employment contract with Ms. Collins. And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Monica. Any questions for Monica?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We'll have discussion first. Are there any questions? I see none. Any questions from the public? Anything online? Okay, now I'll bring it back. Terry, it was a motion to approve. I have a second. Oh, okay.
Rachel.
Sorry, Rachel. You're second.
Just a quick comment, and you know, I have nothing but respect for Ms. Collins, and I wish her well, but I will be opposing this tonight. And it has absolutely nothing to do with her or, you know, wishing her success, but it's more so just my confidence in the organization. Obviously, all of our confidence in this organization was severely rattled. Mine obviously has not recovered. I do think that there are other options that we could be looking forward. I think that the city as well as the county are more equipped to run an organization such as this. And so it's more so the principle of that. And I do just inherently believe that this is a waste, an extra layer of waste of tax dollars, just in my personal opinion. And I've been on the record stating that in the past. So I will be opposing this measure.
Thank you, Chance. All right, I have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Member Chiesa,
Aye.
Chair Condit,
Aye.
Chance Condit,
Nay.
Member Withrow,
Yes.
Member Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Carr,
Yes.
Member Swallen,
Aye.
Member Scutia Brayton,
Aye.
Member Wright,
Aye.
Member Graham,
Yes.
Alternate Member Roque,
Yes.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Phillips,
Yes.
and Member Gokin.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Shannon. Amber, congratulations. If you'd like to. Go ahead. Come on up. It may be catching you off guard a little bit here, but if you want to say a few words, congratulations. Thanks for.
Yeah, thank you, Chair and members of the board. Just extremely honored to serve as your executive director, be part of the team and the Stancog family here. Just really looking forward to this. I'm deeply rooted in the Valley, so I'm really excited to represent this region. So I'm just nothing but full excitement to kind of get to work. And I just commend and thank the board and Interim Director Miller and the staff for all the work you've done throughout the last several months to set me up and the agency up for success. So again, just excited to get to work and work with all of you and the partner agencies, Caltrans. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't get done till 11 o'clock.
Well, there's cookies and dinner and snacks. We're good.
I'm just glad we haven't scared you off yet. All right. Moving on to information items. I hope everybody's had a chance to take a look at those. Moving on to Caltrans report. Caleb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and again, Ms. Collins, congratulations. I texted Director Grace McSile when I found out about this, and she said, I know, of course, she knew before I did. And she said, this wonderful news for Caltrans and Stancog. So a few things to report on. So last month, Caltrans announced it awarded $25 million to 90 local projects that will improve lives and communities by supporting litter and graffiti removal efforts across California. These projects are funded through the Community Cleanup and Employer Pathway, CCEP, grant program through Clean California. Through these competitive grants, CCEP supports litter abatement and public space beautification efforts on locally owned public right-of-way. We're very pleased to announce that we had 3 projects within District 10 that were approved. One for Calaveras County for their Clean Calaveras project. The second one for the city of Stockton, their Stockton Youth Environmental Stewardship, CYES program. And then with the city of Modesto and the Modesto Mo Beautiful project, which is receiving $575,000. I believe there's some local money attached to that because the total project cost is $2.1 million. So excited to see that money coming to the city of Modesto. 2 grant funding opportunities. Mrs. Scutia Brayton asked that I bring hard copies for the funding opportunities, so I passed those around, but I'll just touch on those. For one is the CalSTA released a call for applications for transit and intercity rail capital program. Currently $900 million available for that for cycle 8. And just for reference, during cycle 7, San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission and San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority were awarded $70.8 million for 4 projects. So it'd be good to see, CalSTA transit money stay here in the North Valley in the next cycle. And then the other one is for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife Fishery Restoration Grant Program. And this grant program offers funding to support implementation projects through planning, effective monitoring, outreach, and education. are also available for them. And then lastly, a couple follow-up items from last month. So Supervisor Condit called some attention to some potholes near the Stanislaus River Bridge. The team went out, maintenance team went out and assessed it, and the structures maintenance and investigation team will need to go out there to assess why the concrete is failing. And they anticipate getting the hot mix asphalt, which is needed to fill it. It's not just a quick, pothole fix. Should be in April when that mix is available, so they can go and address that. And then also the last month, there was the bridge report done by the consultant. There was some concern that maybe some of the bridges weren't included. So we're working with the headquarters team to ensure that all of the structures within your jurisdictions were included in that study and accounted for. And then lastly, I announced that the State Route 132 conceptual safety report on the project out by the river is moving forward. I don't have any updates now, but I've connected with the project management team, and as that continues to move forward and the timeline gets solidified, I'll be sure to update the board as that moves forward. So that's it for my report. Happy to take any questions back to the district.
Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate that. Any questions for Caleb? Yep. Absolutely. It's always good to have you here. All right. Thank you.
I did tell the chair, though, if we're going to run more than an hour, we need to have dessert. Thanks.
All right. Moving right along in the agenda, interim executive director report.
Thank you very much. This month, staff helped facilitate the fiscal year 2026-27 congressionally directed spending request. Stan RTA submitted requests for their operations and maintenance facility and clean buses for $2 million for a Senate request, $5 million for a House request. And the city of Patterson submitted a request for $5 million for Sperry. The first meeting of the Measure L Ad Hoc Committee was held on March 6th. During that meeting, members of the committee identified areas of improvement and framed an approach moving forward. The next meeting is scheduled for April 17th. And finally, this is my last report as your interim executive director. I wanted to just, first of all, thank the staff for working so hard and for being open to new processes and new concepts and just how hard they're working, because there's only 50% FTEs right now. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for their commitment to making StanCog a really great place to work. I also wanted to call out a number of agencies that none of us could have done what we did without their help, especially the Napa Valley Transportation Authority, who housed 2 of our staff members for training for a week and will be also hosting 2 more staff members to see how NBTA manages its sales tax. And that was just a day trip, though. I also wanted to just thank them for, without any reservation, sharing all of their policies, sharing all their intel, and just their help and general accessibility to us as we move through this time. In addition, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission was there all the way. They provided us with their Transportation Development Act forms, and they're trained our staff to use the form, which will help us improve how we administer that program moving forward. They were also very forthcoming about their policies, their plans, and their funding. Anything that we needed, they were just there and super responsive. So I wanted to give them a shout out. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council COGS, especially Merced, who were helpful with providing us data on our salaries and classifications, as well as a number of other things. And it's the support and, I'm going to get soft and feely here, but the love that they gave us that makes me really want to stay in this industry and continue to work as a consultant, even though I had over 30 years in as a public employee. And I just wanted to say what a great group of people it is. So thank you very much. And thank you to the board for letting me do this job.
Thank you, Kate, for that. And I would just like to acknowledge you and say a heartfelt thank you. When you arrived here, obviously, we weren't in the best position, and you had the knowledge, skills, and abilities to make things better. And just want you to know that how much we do appreciate you. I know we're not losing you. We're going to have you around just a little bit longer to assist Amber in any way possible. And again, thank you. All right, moving right along to member reports. Any member reports?
I got two
Oh,
things.
Casey.
I'll be quick. One of the things as the new policies start to come out and we have those that have been reviewed and start to go through that process, I want to make sure there's a policy on the policies. That there's a policy on the policies that they get reviewed every 3 years.
Please get closer to the microphone.
That they get reviewed every 3 years. I think it's important that they're constantly reviewed and updated. So if we can bring something back with that. As far as the ad hoc committee, spoke with Jennifer Shaw earlier this week. We had a meeting with her. The audit, as lawyers do, they push things out a lot. And she said it's almost done and we should have it next month, but that's what she said the month before. So it's coming. It's coming. They said it's almost done. And they didn't want to give us parts of it. They wanted to give us the whole thing. So we're waiting on that. And then the forensic financial audit is in the process, or will be in the process shortly.
Thank you, Casey, for that update. Any questions for Casey or any further update?
Quickly, we are paving Scenic, Orangeburg, and Kansas in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Rachel?
I believe with the transition happening with our interim and our new executive director, the business of the ad hoc committee is concluded. And so I want to thank Mayor Carr and Supervisor Graywall for the support in that. Did I update everyone on Measure L committee? But we've met the ad hoc committee. We've set a timeline and phased out for the work to conclude in August. So we haven't started that yet, but I'll keep you all posted. And I want to thank you, interim director, for all you've done. And I shared at the beginning, I can tell your passion and all the work you do, and that's been true the entire time. So thank you.
Any others?
If I may.
Go ahead.
I also want to thank Interim Director Miller. You came in a very tumultuous time, and with your tons of experience, you really got us to a solid place that we could build from. So without you, we couldn't have gotten there. So thank you very, very much. Second, today was a milestone for our region, and that is we broke ground on the replacement of our 7th Street Bridge project, which was immense. And I know in spirit, our previous member, Jenny Knoyer, is here doing cartwheels and just elated. But it was a wonderful ceremony, and as a gesture of welcome to our new executive director, Amber, I presented on behalf of the policy board a piece of the bridge and a certificate that was shared with attendants that were there. So she'll have that to place on her desk when she arrives. Lastly, I am one of 2 members appointed by this body, StanCog, to the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council. The other appointee is Supervisor Chiesa. He and I participated in Valley Voice, which is a advocacy opportunity that we have every year. We went to Sacramento to the state capitol on March the 4th, at which time the delegation that is made up of council members, mayors, and county supervisors had an opportunity to meet with all of our Central Valley legislators. We met with most of them, if not their staff, and we covered very pertinent issues that are relevant to the Central Valley. And and it was they heard us and they asked questions. They indicated that there would be follow-up. Gus, our lobbyist, was instrumental, and just as always, just burned the midnight oil and did his magic in getting us. It's not easy to meet with elected officials and have 30 minutes of their time, and he made that happen. The first issue we talked about air quality challenges and opportunities here in the Central Valley. That was one very important issue we discussed. And we had an ask. We asked for $200 million for that, to support those causes around that issue. Secondly, we talked about leveraging state funding to address safety, goods and movements and mobility. And so we talked about how we would like to work with the various legislators on the successor to the gas tax. Another subject we discussed was the transit funding. The ask there was to dedicate additional revenue on this issue and appropriate the remaining balance of SB 125 to this cause. Lastly, we discussed passenger rail and how important it is to Central Valley and goods movements for us and our community. And there was many asks and follow-up with that. Vito, is there anything else that was pertinent?
Yeah, on the air quality component, the farmer program is, again, something, it's money that we get generally through cap and trade. We heard how cap and trade is going. They've zeroed out the program. We've been as high as a couple $100 million in the program. And this affects everything down the line. We talk about a regional transportation plan, which we're doing right now currently. It just makes it that much more difficult. And what do? How did they punish you? They withhold transportation funding if we don't meet the vehicle miles, GHG reductions. So that was a big component of it. The air conformity is the other, which goes with the regional transportation plan and the SES, which Rachel, right, you're doing that for us. Thank you. But it is so complicated that we have a lot of technical people trying to explain it and not make it complicated. I think you touched on everything else. It was nice at lunchtime. We had Secretary Omashakin. The Gus was able to secure it, as well as Assembly Member Lori Wilson, who's the chair of the Assembly Committee. And this gas tax conversion, something has to happen. We can sit and say we don't. The narrative has been stolen where they're saying it's going to stay, but we have to do something that's revenue neutral today, that we can collect the same amount of money, but it's not a declining revenue source, because gas tax is a declining revenue source. We're putting more vehicle miles traveled on the roadways, and we're collecting less money per mile traveled. So there's more and more damage. That's why we can't keep up with it. I don't have the perfect solution. Gus, we've tasked him with it. Gus has done a lot of work on 2 or 3 different things that it'd be nice to share with the board here. But again, big shout out to Gus. The way he sets that up, everyone comes to us. It's a big group. It worked out really well.
Another person that was there besides legislators was the Secretary of Transportation. For him to hear our plight and for him to understand what our community needs are in the area of transportation was immense. And he got it and he was supportive, and that is invaluable.
Yep. 2 other things I want to say. Caleb said something very important today at the 7th Street Bridge. Groundbreaking. It was local partnership money. They were able to secure $15 million, right? That took away local dollars. So it substituted the local partnership program is a pot of money that is only for self-help counties. And we talk about why we passed a half-cent sales tax. This is a direct response. We were, only self-help counties are eligible, or it was going to be Measure L money or some other source of local money that was going to be used. That was really important. Big component. I know we've heard that before. And the other thing is, Kate, what a pleasure it's been to get to know you. You are honest to a fault, which I love. And I've told you, we brought in a change agent, and you've been doing your best to do that.
Any other? Okay, we're adjourned.
Hey.